The Syrian Arab army continues to chase the escaping terrorist gangs, inflicting heavy casualties among them. Thousands of Turks demonstrate against the policies of Erdogan, who turned Turkey into an extremist country through dictatorship and supporting terrorism in the region. Iran gives the West an opportunity to reach an agreement on its nuclear program, and Britain calls for taking advantage of this opportunity. Good afternoon, welcome to News Bulletin. I'm Dania Nizam. Prime Minister Dr. Wael Halaqi yesterday stressed the importance of activating the role of the legal and judicial trade unions and organizations in the Arab homeland. They defend the just Arab causes and bring to account all criminals, whether they are individuals, organizations or states. During his meeting with a delegation of Jordanian lawyers led by Mr. Samih Khreis, Dr. Halaqi pointed out that part of the unjust world war on Syria called for synchronizing the efforts of intellectuals, lawyers and trade unions to make facts clear to the world's public opinion. He asserted that all those who contributed to the war and siege against the Syrian people should be brought to account. Those who supported the terrorists with money and weapons and brought them to Syria should also be brought to account. The terrorists plundered the wealth of the Syrian people and stole ancient archaeological treasures from Syria, the cradle of the world's oldest civilizations. The Jordanian lawyer Khreis stressed the importance of the cultural unity of Iraq and the Levant. The Jordanian delegation asserted that the whole Arab nation would remain united with Syria at its heart. Syria remained the steadfast defendant of the Palestinian cause and all the just causes of the Arab nation. A Syrian Arab army unit defeated terrorists in the environs of Syria and al-Assad quarters, in addition to several other areas in the Damascus countryside. The army continued its operations and destroyed the weapons and equipment of the terrorists. The army also found a storehouse containing rockets and mortar missiles, in addition to materials used in making explosives. Terrorist groups were also defeated around the Barada factory between Syria and al-Assad. The hideouts of terrorists were also destroyed in Hijri. The army chased a terrorist gang in Harasta, killing its leader Ibrahim al-Os. In Yabrud, the army attacked terrorist groups of Jabhat al-Nusra. In the Damascus countryside, the army captured a vehicle containing weapons and ammunition and detained the two terrorists in a vehicle. The weapons were being taken to terrorist gangs in the Damascus countryside. Units of the Syrian army continue to chase the escaping terrorists in the area between al-Hujayra and al-Buwaida farms in the Damascus countryside. The army extended its control on large parts of that area. The Syrian army continued its operations chasing terrorists in the Bevze quarter, which was combed and liberated completely. In Aleppo, a military source said that our armed forces destroyed rocket launchers and mortar cannons, in addition to 11 vehicles carrying heavy machine guns and other types of weapons in the youth residence area in al-Jadid and Khuwairis. The army also defeated large groups of terrorists to the east of al-Nayrab, the industrial town, and other areas near al-Kindi Hospital, the Central Prison, al-Mansoura and the Carlton Hotel in Old Aleppo. In the Idlib countryside, our valiant armed forces defeated a terrorist gang, killing and wounding most of its members in the environs of Al-Zawiya mountain, destroying their weapons and ammunition. The dead terrorists included Khalid Khatib and Qasim Dadush. In Homs, the Syrian Arab army foiled terrorist attempts to infiltrate into the old city from the countryside. The army also secured the pumping of portable water to Hama and Salamiya. The army clashed with terrorists near the National Hospital and the school of Khadija in al-Qusur quarter. Several terrorists were killed and wounded in the nearby areas, and many terrorists were killed and wounded in the Homs countryside, while their weapons and ammunition were destroyed. Terrorist hideouts were also destroyed in several villages in the countryside. The French journalist Georges Malbrono of Le Figaro asserted that the CIA shipped tons of weapons to the terrorists in Syria in cooperation with Jordan and Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, the Coast Guards in Greece announced the capture of a ship raising the flag of Sierra Leone in the Aegean Sea, carrying nearly 20,000 guns and a large amount of explosives last Thursday. The ship was probably going to Syria and Libya. Informed sources said the ship sailed from the Ukraine to the port of Alexandria in Turkey. Yesterday, a number of peaceful change parties convened a conference in Damascus to discuss preparations for Geneva II conference. The coalition of peaceful change forces announced that it is not participating in the conference as it was not consulted concerning its timing or agenda. The participants stressed in the final statement that the Syrian people are the only decision makers in their own affairs, and no regional or international country has the right to make decisions on their behalf. They called for resuming the internal national dialogue and addressing the impacts of the crisis. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani emphasized that the national interests of the Iranian people and their rights in possessing peaceful nuclear power, including uranium enrichment, are red lines. During a meeting of Iran's Shura Council, Rouhani said that his country hasn't sat down to the negotiations table as a result of pressure imposed on it, but because it believes that dialogue is a means to solve political problems, especially when the countries which had imposed the sanctions have become convinced that they are useless. The Iranian president asserted that the success of the nuclear talks will lead to enhancing security and stability in the region and the world, stressing that Iran would continue to enrich uranium. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Jawad Zarif had said at the conclusion of a round of talks between his country and the Group of 5+, won over Tehran's nuclear program, that a certain progress had been achieved, expressing hope of reaching an agreement on the next round of talks on the 20th of this month. The American Secretary of State expressed appreciation of the progress in the negotiations with Iran. He added that an agreement was imminent. The German Foreign Minister also said that the international community was approaching a reasonable solution concerning Iran's nuclear program. He added that transparency and observation would be the key to this solution, which needs items that would make it possible to carry out the measures implementing the agreement that would be acceptable to the international community. Al-Assad security forces clashed with foreign workers in the neighborhood of Manfuhat al-Faqir in the Saudi capital Riyadh a week after the campaign to detect the so-called violators of residency and working systems started, in which thousands of people were arrested and a man was killed by Saudi police. Eyewitnesses said that Saudi security forces fired 5 bullets in the air and used batons to disperse the crowd of people, as dozens of men ran into the streets and some of them threw stones and other projectiles at the cars and the police officers. The authorities of Al-Assad threatened the foreign workers, indicating that they will no longer turn a blind eye for what they called irregular foreign workers. Many of those workers said that they were unable to benefit from the deadline given to them because of the bureaucratic procedures. Minister of Social Affairs Dr. Kinda Shamat stressed during a meeting with members of the Relief Committee in Latakia on the importance to follow up direct supervision of all displaced people and to provide their needs. Meanwhile, Minister Shamat announced that the draft of the humanitarian response plan for 2014 will be ready soon and will be reflecting the government's priorities and programs. The minister noted that the 2014 plan will include more coordination with the parties concerned, unlike the 2013 plan, which she said was flawed with lack of coordination between the sides charged with implementation. She added that the draft plan of humanitarian response will be discussed with the relevant UN organizations in a workshop soon, so as to be officially launched by the UN by the end of 2013 and to collect the necessary funds from the donor countries. tests for the second phase of the Syrian Scientific Olympics were launched with the participation of 12,980 young men and women, with the aim of finding people who are distinguished in mathematics, physics, chemistry and informatics. The top 10 students in each domain enter the stage of forming national teams. Then the stage of preparation starts to participate in international scientific camps where the young participants become fully qualified to compete in international contests. Ministry of Education, in cooperation with al-Arafi House for Culture and Arts, concluded the activities of the Festival of the Children's Day by various kinds of performances. The activities, which continued for 3 days, were launched under the motto, Beauty in the Syrian Arab Cultural Heritage. The festival included several dancing and musical performances, as well as painting and arts exhibitions. It was concluded by drama performances with the participation of the traditional character of al-Hakawati, the narrator. The aim of the festival was to teach the Syrian children the right Syrian concepts that reject violence and yearn for peace. With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching us. For more details about Syria and the region, and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. After the break, it's over to Vani Konjian with our market and business news. God bless you, and long live Syria.